Hi guys, this is Courtney from Willow's Bloom, and today we're going to be discussing the Pisces new moon, which is happening on March 13th. And a lot of astrologers have been deeming it the most romantic and the most beautiful day of the entire year. So I am super excited to talk about it. So let's go ahead and get started by talking about where exactly it's taking place. It's going to be at 23 degrees of Pisces. So if you have any planets around that, you're going to feel a heavy influence because it's going to be dumping this energy into some of your natal planets. So, why is it the most romantic day of the year? Well, first of all, Pisces is a very romantic sign. It's basically a month where we start to connect more to our soul and disconnect a little bit more from the outside world. And it's a time where we are just generally like more connected to source, more romantic in our essence, because Pisces tend to be romantic. They're very good at visualizing, seeing the intangible and feeling the intangible. And so they can kind of carry this over into their love life. But it's specifically romantic because this new moon is going to be conjunct both Neptune and Venus in Pisces. So this is kind of a big deal because these are planets that essentially give us a lot of good feelings. Neptune is one that makes us be like filled with more love, more compassion, more understanding, more creativity, especially Venus combined with that as well. We might have a huge surge in creativity. So if you're working on some kind of project, this might be a really, really good time to make headway on this, to come up with more creative breakthroughs, and to even work with like finger paint or just do something really fun where you're in your body and expressing yourself through art. I think that would be something that's really, a really good outlet at this time. And Venus is also the planet of harmony. So it's going to create a desire within us to have more harmony in our lives, to create relationships and like energy within our relationships that feels harmonious, that feels accepting and loving of one another. And with Neptune as well, it's going to transcend our relationships into a more spiritual plane. So there's a lot of positive outlets for this. It's even possible for new love to come in because at a new moon, new beginnings are happening. So it kind of depends on where it falls in your chart mostly, but I will be going over all the rising signs, and you can see if new love is possible for you. But this is just a great time for love in general. So if you're in a relationship, I would take this day to go out and do something with your partner. Here in Colorado, it's going to be snowing like crazy. So, doing something indoors, just having some quiet time where you can really enjoy that other person, or vice versa. If you're dating yourself, do that with yourself. Have a day with like a bubble bath where you're really treating yourself, or where you're doing something artistic and creative. That is the perfect outlet for this. So if you are somebody who likes to write, if you're a poet or a songwriter, like this is the energy that you're going to use to make that next big hit kind of thing. So it's just really beautiful. It's a lot of creative, artistic downloads from the universe, a lot of love, a lot of positive flowing energy. And a lot of peace and relaxation that's coming within us. And we've kind of probably been feeling a little bit lethargic building up to this moon because the sun has been conjoined with Neptune, specifically today on Wednesday when I'm filming this. And so whenever Neptune is combining with the sun, especially like our natal sun, what happens is that it can kind of drain the energy a little bit. It can make us more creative and idealistic, but it's like we need to relax. You don't really get these divine downloads and this creativity when you're in a space of busyness, right? You have to create void in order to fill the void with something new. And so that's really what might be happening at this moon as well, is that there's a need for us to rest so we can start to receive some of these beautiful insights about how to move forward in some creative project, in some relationship. But whatever it is, isolation might actually feel really good, really tender, really nourishing at this time. So if you feel called to that, if you feel called to rest, don't neglect that. Don't neglect your body and neglect your needs, because this is a time to really nurture and love yourself. So let's kind of look at the negative side of how this could come across, because there it's not always all rainbows and butterflies, because a lot of it depends on our own consciousness and our own ability to navigate this energy. So for some people, they might fall more into like a hedonistic lifestyle around this time, because Venus is one that likes to seek pleasure, and Neptune is a planet that likes to escape. And Pisces is a sign that is often linked to Pisces in like the 12th house can be often linked to some form of like detachment from reality, which often comes in the form of drugs or any kind of escapist tendency. Even just like watching TV all day, that's you escaping from the reality of your current life. So there can be this tendency to escape things, to want to indulge in things, to overindulge in things, to spend too much money, to lose money. It can be possible to be like scammed at this time, because Neptune can also relate to like over idealism or not seeing things clearly. And so we can put all of our interests into a new love, and then that person can actually be like that kind of Don Juan figure that is actually not the best person for us. But in this kind of transit, we're not really able to see it for what it is. So if you feel like you're somebody who tends to have rose-colored glasses, then this new moon is actually, a little bit of a threat to that, in the sense that you might fall into that trap more at this time, because the energy is very strong around over idealizing something. So I feel like what's going to be happening after this new moon is we're going to start, as the energy starts to move into Aries, as the sun moves into Aries, I think we're going to start kind of getting checked a little bit of, with reality. Like, this is such a positive, loving time, and then at some point it's going to give us a little bit of a pushback, a little bit of a need to set boundaries and be more realistic about what's possible and what's really happening. So if you want to get swept up in the moment, then do it, but just realize that in the next couple of weeks, it might be necessary to kind of rebound or like course correct a little bit, in the sense that you're not always able to just sit in this feeling of like love and idealism and perfection. At some point, it's going to kind of shift. So you can enjoy this time and enjoy the pleasures of life, but just always remembering, not to put high stakes into things, not to put a lot of money on something or bet, give your whole heart away at this time to somebody, because if you're just meeting them around this time, you might not see them as clearly as you would want to, essentially. So overall, super, super positive. If you are prone to addiction, be very careful at this time. Try to find positive physical outlets to help you kind of move that energy. Even if you are feeling a bit lethargic, things like yoga and whatnot are going to help you with that. So this new moon is also making a semi-square to Saturn. Normally, I don't talk about semi-squares because they're a minor aspect and they're felt a lot less. But I do think that this is something that, I don't know, I just felt called to share it. And I also know that Saturn and Uranus are still making a square, although they're separating. So it's going to be felt a lot less. So if you don't know what that means, it's basically that we've been kind of feeling a little bit angsty that we need to make a change, but also kind of blocked from making those changes. And so that's been kind of going on in the background for the last couple of weeks. And so that energy is still prevalent. This moon is still interacting with it in some capacity. So I did want to address it. So as a new moon, we know inherently that we are starting to build something now. We are planting a seed of intention, and then it's going to evolve into a plant over time. So it takes, 2 weeks until the next full moon, but it's not going to be a full moon actually in this sign until months later. And so it's going to be important for us to recognize that anything that seems really perfect and idealistic right now is still going to require work. And I feel like that's what this semi-square with Saturn is saying. It's like you're going to feel like you're getting a break finally from this tense need to build, to regrow, to be a better person. You're going to feel just at peace for one day, but in the background, just know that whatever you're looking at with these optimistic eyes, you're basically still going to have to put in the hard work. There's still going to be a little bit of an uphill battle with everything. There's a little bit of an uphill battle. We have to try, we have to work, we have to put an effort, a step-by-step process. And so that's really what this semi-square to Saturn is saying to me, that we're going to get where we want to be if we're patient and just enjoy the process and enjoy exactly where we are right now. So this new moon is a time for us to really soak up and enjoy this good energy. So I hope that it's positive for you. It can always interact with your chart differently and make things harder for you, but mostly this is going to just impact people in a positive way. So yeah, I feel like that semi-square to Saturn is saying that there's lots to be thankful for right at this moment. And there's more work to be done, and to just kind of recognize that this is like a juicy period of time. There's also a semi-square to Uranus, which I feel like is basically saying that there is more change that needs to come ahead. There is more planning, there is more preparation. And with that, it's going to require us to adjust aspects of ourselves continuously until we align with our future goal. So again, I think that this is something kind of on the back burner because of that Saturn square Uranus, but the energy is still there. It's just not what's really being felt. So besides what is interacting with the moon itself, Saturn is trining Mars separately. So they're not, like touching the moon. I mean, Saturn is, but anyway, yeah, Saturn and Mars are trining. And so I feel like I was writing about what I thought this meant. And it's interesting because Saturn and Mars have very different energies. Saturn is the energy that slows us down, that makes us very realistic, that takes things step by step, as I was mentioning. And Mars is like this go-getter energy that's very impulsive, very action-oriented. They're always going to default to action and not always try to do things step by step. It kind of burns out quicker. So I like that these are in a trine because they're making basically a positive conversation with each other, saying, okay, we're understanding how to really combine our internal combustion with longevity. And we're really learning how to bring those two together to bring a big vision to life in the long term. It is going to take time. It is going to be step by step, but we'll have the passion, the energy, the excitement, the drive in order to keep us going. And I feel like what it's saying is also that we're meant to be seeing a bigger picture right now of what we're building. So this is more an intuitive download than it is necessarily from the astrology, but I do feel like Neptune is oftentimes associated with a vision. When I think of like a bigger picture, I think of Jupiter, but when I think of a spiritual vision, I think of Neptune. Like a soul vision, an evolutionary vision, like the super, super, super big picture. When we zoom out entirely of, our lives and look at many lifetimes that we experience, we see Neptune's role in this, and we see the vision of how what we're working on now plays into our karma, plays into our future, reincarnations and things like this. So I feel like right now we're kind of getting that more energetic, like big picture thinking of where this idealism, where this vision is meant to take us. So if you have something specific in mind that you want to start building with this Pisces new moon, whether that's a relationship, whether that's a creative project, or whether that's something that is more earthly and more tangible, it doesn't matter. I think this energy is giving you that positive go ahead and that vision, and also the step-by-step tenacity that it's going to take in order to make that really come to fruition. So I just think the Saturn trine Mars is telling us to be patient and to use our resources wisely, because this is a time where resources can kind of slip through our fingers. So be careful about that. And don't rush. I think these things they'll come to fruition over time. So that's really what I'm seeing for this Pisces new moon. It's going to be a time for building something new from the heart. Again, I could see this being something creative or a relationship, but something that really fits with you on a soul level, and that is going to help impact the world and move through your karma, move through your evolution in a really powerful way. So now I'm going to go ahead and get into the different rising signs. So up first we have Aries Rising. So for you guys, this new moon is happening in your 12th house, and that means Venus and Neptune are also there in your 12th house. And I'm going to be pulling some cards today because I love to do that along with the astrology to just kind of give you a rundown of what I think that this could end up feeling like. And it always really helps me, guide the astrology, because I'm a very intuitive reader. If you've ever had a reading with me, when I look at your chart, I'm really picking up on just your energy, and I like the patterns that I see come to life are driven by my intuition. So I feel like the cards always help bring that out. And I also got a new deck that I wanted to try, which is an astrology deck. So if you hear me saying something about astrology that might be a little confusing, then I'll explain it. Basically, like this will be more astrology, but it's not actually what's happening. Okay, so again, this moon is happening in your 12th house, and it's making a semi-square to Uranus in the 2nd, a semi-square to Saturn in the 11th, and Mars is in Gemini, trining in the 3rd house, trining Saturn in the 11th. All right, so what does that all mean? So basically, whenever I see something happening in the 12th house, I definitely think it's a time for introspection, for rest and relaxation. What I was mentioning at the very beginning of the video, like this tendency towards isolation, I think would actually really benefit you guys at this time, because there's probably a lot that you are going to be processing under the surface, and it's always really beneficial to have some time alone in order to do that, some quiet time. And I mean quiet time, like fully unplugging from things, you guys. Because I think a lot of us will still kind of have music on, or we'll still be like watching videos, and like that's not really the quiet time that our soul needs. So I feel like this is kind of like a soul rejuvenation. And I feel like you guys have been moving through a lot in terms of career because of Pluto in your 10th house. So you guys have been continuing to transform your career for a while now. It's going to continue for, years to come. And it's interesting because I did pull the ambition card. So I feel like this is just kind of pulling on your energy right now. I think you guys are just generally very ambitious people, but I think this might be a time for you to kind of unplug for a second and relax, because maybe you guys have been overworking or focusing too much on work recently. And I also pulled this otter card for you guys. So I'm just going to read what the otter card means. And, kind of going off what I was saying about ambition, I think that since this moon is making a semi-square to Uranus in the 2nd, there is part of you that is still developing your skills. There's part of you that's still really working hard to accumulate the resources and the skills and the attributes that you need to really succeed in your career. The 2nd house supports the 10th house of career. So it's basically anything that you have or that you use or that you develop in order to step further into your career. And so I feel like this is saying that is going to come naturally with time, and that you've already been putting a lot of energy towards that. And maybe it's time to kind of unplug and give yourself a break, especially with Saturn moving in the 11th house. Maybe things have been feeling like a little bit less fun in terms of friendships. Just in the sense that maybe it's more work in your friendships right now for some reason, or maybe you feel like there's a little bit less people around you than you normally would like, or it's a little bit harder to make those connections or to meet up with your friends. I mean, obviously COVID's going on. So I feel like there's this need for you guys to relax a little bit and play, and that's really what the otter represents: unobstructed joy, playfulness, and contentment. So I feel like this is you guys really stepping into your childlike nature and doing that with yourself. Like, you don't need to have these friendships right now in order to play. You don't need to have somebody else around in order to feel this kind of joy. And so I feel like this is basically more or less what it's saying is it's time for you to give yourself that joy. And if there are people around you that are supporting you and everything right now, then that's great. Then, do that, hang out with them too. But ultimately, it would be beneficial to have a nice chunk of time alone. And I think that time alone is going to rejuvenate you and connect you more with your divine feminine, the part of you that is growing in confidence, the part of you that is intuitive, that knows exactly who you are and what you want. Like this ambition card, I think you can't just always strive. You have to have periods where you are really focusing on internal development in order to align with your vision, with your ambition long term. And so I feel like that's kind of what this is saying, is that there's a need to unplug so that you can really tune in with yourself, with your own needs and your own desires, so that you can be confident in the direction of your life. You can follow your intuition and know exactly what you are cultivating and in your future. So yeah, I love this because I also pulled the Venus in Sagittarius card, and it says flirtation, and of course that's always possible. I mean, this is a very, very loving energy, very flirty, romantic energy of this moon. And Mars and Gemini in your third house, this could make you like a little bit more flirty in terms of communication. Maybe you're like hitting people up online, or maybe you're just kind of going around with the friends in your area and feeling a little bit more energized to like go out around the town. Mars and Gemini is ultimately going to do that for you, although this full moon might kind of combat that energy a little bit and have you more like internal. But just having Venus in Sagittarius, I feel like this is basically saying that you can use this time with this Venusian, soft, loving, supportive energy to focus on your bigger vision, to focus on. Whenever I think of Sagittarius, I do think a lot about like our higher perspective of life and the direction of our soul, which I talked about at this new moon, the general overview. So I feel like having this rest period essentially to just play, to just enjoy life, to reconnect with your like bigger vision of your life, I feel like that is what this new moon in Pisces is about for you. And it's going to lead you to feeling more bold, more confident. But there is a lot of like fiery energy in these cards for you. And so I feel like this is absolutely giving you the go ahead to like fully embody your Aries self and to check in with yourself in order to fully embody that fiery, ambitious, driven side of yourself. But in order to really have that and fully embody that, you have to rest and drop into yourself. So I hope that makes sense. I know it's a little bit more abstract, but honestly, this new moon is pretty abstract. So yeah, if this resonated, please comment down below or give me a like. And as always, if you want an astrology reading, you can always book that with me at willowsbloom.com. And I hope you have a great day. Bye. All right, up next we have Taurus Rising. So for you guys, this new moon in Pisces is happening in your 11th house. That means that Venus and Neptune are also transiting your 11th house. And I personally love the 11th house because it's really the house that allows us the support from outside influences. So it's where people are very generous with us, where we cultivate very loving and understanding relationships and friendships. And it could even be strangers and groups of people that come in from the outside and give you what you need at this time. So I really feel like this is going to come about, this energy is going to come about in the form of connections, in the form of support from maybe unexpected places. And I am pulling some cards for you guys because I love to see how the oracle and tarot cards interact with the astrology. So for you guys, this new moon is also making a semi-square to Uranus in the 1st and a semi-square to Saturn in the 10th. And so really what I'm seeing with that is that with Uranus in the 1st, there's still going to be a need to make some changes to yourself. And what intuitively came through is like how you take care of yourself, some maybe aspects of your routine, because that has a lot to do with how we support and take care of ourselves. So there might be some changes that we need to make in that, as well as just changes in your understanding about yourself and your life and your patterns, things like that. And those will kind of come through over time. So it's not really something that you need to worry about at this new moon, but it's just something that, again, is there in the background, kind of just as a reminder that there's going to be some more pivots in yourself and your and I think in your purpose as well, because the first house has a lot to do with not only your physical body, so that could be an influence as well, but our direction in life. The first house kind of like steers the rest of the chart, and so there can be some pivoting that needs to happen in terms of your purpose. Um, and again, it's also making a semi-square to Saturn in the 10th, and that has a lot to do with your purpose and your career as well. And so I feel like these people and these connections are going to come in and help influence you as a person as well as your career and give you a little bit of a leg up. I mean, I did pull the Ace of Pentacles. So I definitely think that they could literally come into your, people could literally come into your life and give you financial support or give you some solid tip or something that can result in financial reward, especially because Saturn is making a trine to Mars in Gemini in your second house. So now that Mars is in your second house of finances, you're going to have that area light up in your life. You're going to feel super energized to get your money together, to get your skills in order to develop the money. And because Saturn is making a trine, these steps that you've been taking in your career are going to bring in financial reward for you. So I think that there's, a few, basically what I see for you is some career development, financial development, but ultimately it's being supported by this new moon, which means that people are coming in to help give you that leg up. People are coming in to help give you that idea and help you kind of go with that transformation that is necessary in order to create this Ace of Pentacles in your life. So yeah, I feel like you're just going to be really supported right now. It's going to be a time where it's going to be more celebratory, where people are going to be more likely to celebrate you and to offer you that support, like I'm saying. It's interesting because I also pulled the Flow card and then the Swan card. Both of these have, imagery or energy surrounding water, bodies of water, kind of flowing with the water. So just intuitively, I mean, water has a lot to do with our emotions. So there may be this side of you that also just kind of has to flow with the emotions of this time, because this can bring about a lot of emotions, especially because Venus is your ruling planet as a Taurus rising, your chart ruler. And it's going to be conjunct Neptune, which can make us very sensitive. So if you feel like, things are happening in your life right now that are kind of pushing on your compassion buttons and making you really empathetic, really sensitive, then that does make a lot of sense. So if you're feeling kind of a lot of emotion right now, just allow it to flow. Don't block any of it. Just kind of move through it. And it might even be beneficial with this Swan card to ask yourself, why am I feeling this way? And getting down to maybe the deeper meaning behind things, because the Swan card is where we go into more of the depths of our soul. And I think, with your ruling planet with Neptune, there is the ability to go really deep into your soul and understand yourself on a deeper level at this time. I also pulled Jupiter in Virgo, which is the patience card. And I think this has a lot to do with the Mars in your second house. Mars is a very impatient energy. I mean, it's a planet that creates desire for us to have something right now. But Jupiter in Virgo is about building something that is really going to last the test of time, something that is really valuable, something that is not perfect, but it can be sort of flawless in a way. And so those things take time. So even though there may be part of you that wants to have the money and the skills and everything right now that Mars is in your second house, this is saying that it will come with time, but this takes a lot of systematic, step-by-step effort over time in order to create this. And I heard someone else say this, it doesn't take long to build a house of cards, but it takes a long time to build a house like out of bricks. So you're building the house out of bricks, and that's going to take some more time, but it's ultimately going to last a longer time and be more fruitful, bear more fruit financially speaking. So I think it's going to be worth it at this time to be very patient with yourself and with where you're at in terms of finances and your career if you're not exactly where you want to be. But ultimately, I feel like this is going to be, again, very beneficial for you guys. I did pull the Ace of Pentacles, which is indicating some kind of tangible reward, some kind of tangible thing coming into your life to support you. So yeah, I think that this is really great. And again, if you're feeling really emotional, it's normal. Allow it to flow. And I hope that you guys like this. If so, please comment down below or give me a like. And as always, if you want to purchase a reading from me, you can do so at willisbloom.com. All right, up next we have Gemini Rising. So for you guys, this new moon in Pisces, along with Venus and Neptune, are going to be happening in your 10th house of career. And honestly, Gemini Risings, I know I say this in a lot of my videos, but you guys have had kind of a hard time in the sense that this past year you had, Saturn and Pluto moving through your 8th house. So whenever I see some positive energy flow coming to you, I'm like, oh, thank God. Like, you guys need it. Oh, 8 of Swords. Okay, let me pull one more card. 10 of Pentacles. Wow, you guys. Good thing I pulled one more card. So yeah, if you don't know, I love to pull some Oracle and Tarot cards along with my readings. And I feel like it just gives me that extra intuitive insight into what is going on. So yeah. Oh, revenge. Oh, okay, interesting. All right, so let's talk a little bit about what this astrology means and kind of tie in the cards. So having this energy flow into the 10th house of your career is going to make you guys feel so grateful and so warm and fuzzy about your career life. Maybe something new will kind of come in to make you feel like, I am where I need to be. This feels amazing. Or maybe it's some kind of insight that is coming in that is going to make you feel like, oh my God, yes, like this is the vision that I needed. This was the missing piece that I needed. So I definitely am getting this like sense of vision coming through because this moon is making a semi-square to Saturn in the 9th house and a semi-square to Uranus in the 12th. And oftentimes when I see energies coming through in the 9th house and the 12th house, there can be like an uncovering of information, like a sudden insight, a sudden download, a sudden ability to connect the dots. The 12th house is where things are hidden. And so whenever Uranus is there and is making a semi-square, it can bring up what has been hidden from you, from your soul at that time. Maybe your soul literally wasn't ready to unlock that information until this point in time. So I feel like there is something, that's happening on a deeper soul level. And then there's the part that's happening with Saturn in the 9th where you're restructuring your vision about your life and about the direction of your life and really getting in tune with where you see yourself being as a person. And sometimes we have to question our beliefs about ourselves and what we've wanted up until now in order to really get clear about how to move forward. And so you might be getting some new insights from those questionings that are happening, and that will ultimately influence your career. Saturn is also making a trine to Mars, which is in your 1st house in Gemini. So you guys are naturally going to be much more energized at this time, especially since this moon is happening in the 10th house of career. You're going to have the stamina now that Mars is in your 1st house, maybe not right at this moon, but quickly following after it. You're going to have the stamina to actually see that vision through, because Mars in the 1st is basically like giving some coals like a fire. Basically, you're going to start burning from the inside and you're going to have that internal combustion to be like, yes, let's go, let's do this. And I feel like that's part of kind of what this Independence card is saying. Mars in the 1st house can make you extremely independent. It can give you that energy to do things on your own. So maybe if you've been somebody who in the past has really been, tying your happiness or your well-being or anything to other people, this can be a time where you start to nourish yourself, because whenever this moon is happening in the 10th house, it's supporting this positive and loving energy, supporting your career, and Mars in the 1st is supporting you. So it's really I don't want to say isolating, but it's really all about you. You know, it's not about your relationships as much at this time. So this, if you have been kind of putting a lot of energy into relationships, it might be the time to actually focus more on yourself, on your career, on your physical body. It's a really great time with Mars and Gemini to be like, what do I want my body to be like? How can I dispel all of this energy that I have? So yeah, I feel like there is a deep sense of independence happening where you're just kind of doing you. So if things have been, you know, not really great in some relationships, maybe this isn't the time to focus on them at all. Maybe it's the time to give yourself that love. And I pulled the Bat card for you, which is about darkness, letting go, death leading to rebirth. Before emerging, the bat waits for the sun to set and the moon to rise. In the darkness, it can see all that was invisible in the daylight hours. The bat is a master of the subtle senses, of the underlying forces that cause some things to prosper and others to fade. The bat card shows up to signify the ending of a chapter, the closing of a door. The bat comes swiftly, encouraging us to move on. In just a few hours, a new day dawns, no more lingering in the past. Okay, so yeah, I kind of actually do feel like that's about relationships. Like maybe if you've been holding on to any kind of toxic thing in relationships, toxic patterns in relationships with these Eight of Swords, it doesn't even have to be in relationships. It can literally be about yourself. If you've been having, you know, a negative mindset and repeating these very old thoughts, I feel like it's saying that it's time to cut those, because this moon is about prosperity and it's happening in your career life. So things really are changing. The chapter really is ending. A dawn really is emerging. And now it's time to give yourself all of that energy and focus it all within. And when you cut out the Eight of Swords, when you cut out the negative thinking, what lies behind it is the Ten of Pentacles, which is ultimate prosperity. And having this new moon happen in your career is basically saying you have the chance to create real happiness and abundance in your life, but you have to let go of these negative thought patterns, these negative cycles that are either within yourself, with your relationships, or both. Yes, so it's not always easy to do that, but once you're able to let that go, that's ultimately what's on the other side. And I love the Bat card because that's really what I was saying about having the unseen in the 12th house, the hidden things come to light. I feel like that's what the Bat is saying, that you're able to finally see in the darkness, and the darkness can oftentimes be those negative thought patterns that aren't serving us. So now you're able to start seeing through that darkness, seeing through that BS, and getting to the core of your issues to resolve them so that you can have prosperity in your career and relationships. Interestingly, I also pulled the Mars and Scorpio energy, which says revenge. This can also be a highly sexualized energy, and I don't really see this as revenge per se. What I'm seeing for you guys having Mars and Scorpio is extremely ambitious energy, very fiery. And with Mars moving through your first house, you can embody this. So you might be a little bit more cutthroat this time. You might be a little bit more feisty because Mars moving through your sign is going to give that to you. And it's also going to give you the ability to channel some of that intensity into your work, into your goals. And so that's really what I think is going to be the most beneficial for you guys, is to, again, focus on yourself, focus on your career, focus on letting go of some of these old negative patterns and thoughts about yourself, see through the bullshit, and you'll ultimately end up with abundance and happiness, not only in your career, but in your relationships as well. Because as we focus more on ourselves and step into a highest version of ourselves, we will start attracting the people who vibrate at that frequency and who can really meet us where we are at. So I love that for you guys. I feel like you guys definitely have been doing a lot of hard work on yourselves, and it seems like the hard work isn't quite done yet, but you are going to be rewarded. This moon is very positive in your career. So that looks super, super positive. Give me a thumbs up if you like this, and please comment down below as well if it resonates. And as always, if you want to purchase a reading, you can do so at willsboom.com. Have a great day. Bye. All right, up next we have Cancer Rising. So for you guys, this new moon in Pisces is happening in your 9th house, which means that Neptune and Venus will also be in the 9th house. And I am going to be pulling some cards for you guys to kind of see how this energy will play out in terms of tarot and the oracle. And I will be obviously pulling in the astrology as well. The moon. Interesting. And if you guys like this, don't forget to give me a thumbs up or a comment down below. Fair. Interesting. Okay. So having this moon in Pisces happen in your 9th house. So the 9th house is very positive. The sun rejoices in the 9th house. It loves to be there. So having the sun in its spot of, rejoicing is already positive. And then I feel like what it's ultimately doing is building towards something. Normally when I think of the 9th house, I think of like our vision and, our goals and things like that. And I do see that. But I feel like, yeah, what I'm getting is like this kind of building energy. So I'm curious what the cards have to say. And so it can pull out a little bit more of what my intuition is saying. Let me just look up this first card that I got for you guys, which is the elk. So the elk card, let's see what it says. The great elk represents the earth element in its masculine form. This means it provides underlying support and stability amidst life's many changes. An elk personality is fully established in themselves and knows their core values. They become known and respected for acting in ways that uphold those values. Sometimes the elk's ego can become inflated, but for the most part, they make damn good fathers, mothers, lovers, and friends. The world needs more elk energy. Okay, interesting. So it seems like this is the masculine energy, this very stable, supportive energy. And you guys also got the Knight of Wands, which to me is a lot about taking action and being very passionate about the projects that you are building. And it's so interesting because this Knight of Wands is surrounded by the elk on one side, which is the masculine, and the moon on the other side, which is the feminine. So I'm definitely getting this need to balance the masculine and feminine in search of your goals here. So there can be maybe a side of you that's extremely driven, but that isn't necessarily taking a break. And maybe you actually need to take that break if you're living too much in the masculine. Vice versa, if you're living too much in the feminine, this might be a time where you want to take more action. However, this moon is really more supporting rest. So maybe after this moon. This moon is also making a semi-square to Uranus in the 11th house, as well as Saturn in the 8th house. So I feel like the semi-square to Uranus in the 11th, I think it's kind of saying that there could be a need to possibly alter your vision, or that you might need some outside people to come in that aren't in the picture yet in order to help you bring your current vision to life. I am getting the sense that you're building a vision here, especially with this Knight of Wands card, something that you're passionate about. I'm definitely getting a feeling of something that you want to create. And that could be a family, that could be like a business, that could be a book. Like there's so many things that it could be, but I am getting the sense that you're creating something, building something. And you're really going to need the combination of your masculine and feminine energy to really unite together. And you might also need some outside influences to come in to help you, or alternatively, some tweaks to your vision in order to bring it to life. Again, you don't have to worry about that right now, because I think that's something that will play out over time. That's just stuff happening in the background, basically. You also have, as I mentioned before, a semi-square to Saturn in the 8th. I think that this is a lot about you leaving behind some insecurities. So that's going to be, I think, what's going to also happen on this journey of creating this vision. And that's, I think, why I pulled the Venus in Leo card, which does say affair, but I'm really not seeing it that way. I'm seeing it as you guys stepping into the core confidence that you need in order to make this vision happen. And that is going to take time. Saturn moves through a house. It takes 2.5 years to move through a house. It just shifted into Aquarius, so it's likely not been in the 8th house for too long, depending on your chart. So you have some more time to really feel this energy out, which means that you're going to have some more time where you're confronted with situations in which you have to address your insecurities. And developing this vision is going to test your insecurities. And the 9th house, where this moon is taking place, is a lot about faith. It is a lot about hope for the future. And so I think that as these insecurities come up, you're going to have to be able to hold your faith, not only in the universe and that this is possible, but in yourself. That's what that Leo energy is, like having confidence that you can do this. And again, you might need some outside support, but you have the capability to energetically hold this vision and bring it to life. But only when you're embodying equal masculine and feminine, only when you're taking action and resting and integrating. You have to have both. I feel like that is the missing piece here. And with Saturn trining Mars and Gemini in the 12th house, Mars is our action energy, right? It's the part of ourselves that wants to go, go, go. And it's transiting your 12th house of rest. So you guys absolutely are probably feeling a little bit less energized than normal. That's okay. That's normal as Mars moves into your sign, which will happen, I think, in April. You're going to feel a lot more energized. So this is really about rest. And then I think you're going to step more into this elk energy. Right now, your masculine needs to come out to protect the feminine, which means to set boundaries for yourself so that you can rest, to create that safe space so that you can rest. You know, maybe getting things that you have to get done, but then carving out that time and setting strong, hard boundaries of this is my time to myself. This is my time to rejuvenate. So that's going to be really important to help you move through those insecurities because Saturn is trining Mars. So you can't step into this confidence if you're always moving forward and you're never taking the time to reflect on how far you've come, what you've done right, what you're working on. You have to check in with yourself. You can't be confident if you don't even know yourself. So I think this new moon is actually giving you guys a chance to really to do that, to rest, to check in with yourself, to get super clear on your vision, to have the masculine and feminine balance. And yeah, I think it's ultimately going to be really beneficial. And I'm excited to see what you guys are building or growing. That just came in intuitively. I don't know if you guys are actually building or growing anything, but I think we always are as humans, right? Like we're always working on something. So yeah, if you enjoyed this, please leave a like or comment down below. And as always, if you want to buy a reading from willsbloom.com, an astrology reading, you can do that. Have a great day. Bye. All right, next up we have Leo Rising. So for you guys, this new moon in Pisces is happening in your 8th house, along with, of course, Venus and Neptune in there as well. And I am going to be pulling some cards for you guys. I felt called to pull 2 tarot cards for you. And I love to use this in combination with the astrology because I think it just gives me so much insight into what is going on with you guys, and it really guides my intuition. So generally the 8th house is a little bit more of a harder house to have energy move through, but ultimately this is such a positive new moon that I feel like this is actually going to feel like a cleanse. That's the word that came, a cleanse. Because the 8th house has a lot to do with some more, the darker energies, the heavier energies of our life. So I feel like this is going to cleanse that. And I specifically see this coming through in terms of your career and your relationships. Because this moon is also making a semi-square to Uranus in the 10th and a semi-square to Saturn in the 7th. Semi-square to Uranus in the 10th, this is changes that need to be made in terms of career. And semi-square to Saturn in the 7th is saying that this is kind of a harder period of time in terms of relationships. It's going to require a little bit more effort, a little bit more work. And these are things that are kind of going on in the background of your life right now. There needs to be an adjustment in your career. I see them as like little micro adjustments that are going to take place over a long period of time, as well as with your relationships. Like you're going to be learning lessons and putting in more hard work in your relationships. And that's going to be like little things over time. So those are things that I see happening in the background, but they are pulled into this moon, which means that they aren't the focus of this moon, but what you are cleansing, I think, has a lot to do with those 2 aspects of your life. I think what you're cleansing is, you know, maybe some things in terms of authority figures or of your direction in life, your career, your purpose. There needs to be some cleansing in order for those adjustments to be made. The 8th house, like you have to let go of some past patterns, some insecurities, fears. Fears is coming in very strongly. There's a fear here. In the eighth house, we develop fears from past pain, from pain in our childhood, past lives, if you believe in past lives. It's like where we're afraid to let go and just surrender. And what's funny is that all this energy in Pisces and all of this Neptunian energy in Venus, it's all about surrendering. So it's surrendering those fears about what would happen if you made changes to your career. If you're not happy with something in your career and you've been wanting to change something, if you're unhappy with certain relationships that you have in terms of hierarchy or authority and you need to change something but you have fear, it's time to surrender those fears. Or if you're learning new lessons in your relationships and you're feeling like things are kind of hard there and you don't know how things are going to go, surrendering those fears around your relationships. Yeah, I really see that coming through for you guys. And I did pull the Page of Pentacles. And whenever a page comes out, it's really about, to me, it's about just the beginning of a journey. Come on now. This is a child, essentially. So in essence, I feel like she's holding this pentacle and it's this like one golden thing. And then you guys also got the golden egg, which is very interesting. So I'm definitely seeing some themes here around like this golden egg. Let me just look up what that means before I kind of continue on with the Page of Pentacles. The golden egg, message at the center of the heart, the unstruck sound. Within the golden egg lives a precious sound. Deep within that sound resides a message. The sound cannot be heard, nor the message discerned, until we retreat from the noise of modern life. The magical essence of the golden egg needs warmth, quiet, and time to unfold. No rushing, pushing, or grasping. Find a place of deep and restful ease, perhaps through yoga nidra or meditation. If you don't have a meditation practice, take some time for introspection and contemplation. So basically, it's saying engaging with the energy of the golden egg is advanced practice. It requires becoming intimate with our very essence and comfortable with vulnerability. Oh my God, the eighth house is literally about vulnerability. That's what I'm seeing, you guys. I'm feeling like this surrendering, this cleansing is actually taking away a lot of your walls and like your expectations and the expectations put on from society. And it's giving you the opportunity to be just open-hearted and vulnerable about who you are and what you want in your relationships and in your career. And I don't think that you guys actually know what you want yet, because I did pull the Seven of Cups. I did feel called to pull another card. So what I'm seeing with the Seven of Cups is you being unclear. The Seven of Cups is the Neptune energy. So even though you're surrendering and trying to be vulnerable and moving through these layers of walls and of things that you've built up around you, deep inside, I think maybe you haven't done this enough to fully know where you want to be, or maybe it's just not the right time yet. I do feel like this is a very nurturing energy of your soul and kind of allowing you to release a lot of the stuff from the past and not just jump into something new right away. Because the Seven of Cups is really saying that you're not clear, you're not certain, and you don't need to be certain. You don't need to make decisions right now. But checking in with your vulnerability, coming into the core of your heart is going to be really beneficial. And this Page of Pentacles is showing me that this is a very new thing for you guys. This vulnerability, this surrendering, it's either with a new area of your life or it's a new practice for you. There is some element of this is just the beginning. And so that's why you're not sure, because when you're just getting started on something, oftentimes you lack the end goal, the end vision in its entirety. Sometimes you just know that you need to make a change, but you don't know like what that change is. You don't know, what's coming up in your relationships, in your career, or whatever. So yeah, I feel like this is a really tender time. Like that's the feeling I'm getting. It's like a very tender moment. And to just be very compassionate with yourself, very gentle, and not try to force the answers. The answers will only come as you go within and as your timeline just naturally evolves. And that's okay. And I pulled the Mary card, which says miracles. And really what I'm seeing for this is not necessarily miracles per se, but I'm seeing just like this total support from your angels, from your guides. I feel like you're really being watched over right now as you begin to open up and be vulnerable. And this feels like protection. Like you guys aren't going to be vulnerable and then just get hurt. I feel like you guys are going to be, as you open up and be vulnerable, even though you might feel uncertain about it and you might waver and you might not feel as confident in your decision to do so or make changes or confront things in relationships, there might be that part of you that's uncertain and doesn't want to fully open up to those new possibilities. But this is saying you're protected. So if you do open up, you're not going to just get hurt like before. It's time to release those fears. The past is not just going to repeat itself. You guys also have Saturn making a trine to Mars in Gemini in the 11th house. So Saturn is in the 7th house, the relationship, trining Mars in Gemini in the 11th. Okay, so this is interesting because the 7th and 11th both have to do with other people and relationships. So I definitely feel like your friendships are what is supporting you moving through this, like these changes or these lessons or, you know, any kind of hardships that come up in like your closer partnerships, or even like your work contracts. Like those things are going to be supported by the fun and the play and the liveliness of friendships. And that's kind of what I'm seeing with this Jupiter and Leo energy. Like this is your time to, besides, you know, unplugging and being vulnerable and all of that, it's also your time to just soak up your friendships and go out and have fun and like make stuff happen, you know? Like it doesn't have to be this really serious time always to be working through some of the, like the cleansing. It doesn't have to be this whole serious thing. Like your friends are there to support you. Mars and Gemini in the 11th, this is a very social energy. This is a very active energy in your community. So, you know, enjoy that aspect of it, but then also make sure that you have that quiet time to check in with yourself, to reflect, to really start that inward journey, which I feel like you guys are just now entering. All right, Leo Rising, I hope this helps you guys. If so, please like or leave a comment below or both. And as always, if you want to have a reading from me, you can purchase one at willowswomb.com. Hope you have a great day. Bye. All right, up next we have Virgo Risings. So for you guys, this moon is happening. This new moon in Pisces with Neptune and Venus is happening in your 7th house of relationships, you guys. That is such a beautiful one to have because this is the energy of love and romance. This is one of the best moons of the entire year for that. And oh goodness. And it's coming in your relationships. So I actually feel like, okay. I actually feel like this is going to be so beautiful. And I am pulling some cards for you guys to go along with this message. Interesting. And yeah, it's interesting because you guys are getting some intense cards. Beauty. All right, well, the first thing I thought of was like, you guys are definitely more attractive at this time. You guys are attracting people into your life. This is a really, really good time to forge new relationships, to go on dating apps, to literally meet up with people. I know COVID, whatever, but you guys, this is the time to connect with other people. Just be careful. You know, you don't want to, again, go all into something and it turns out that the guy is like, you're over idealizing him. Just be careful about that. That's the only thing I want to say. Okay, I'm really drawn to this Tower card because this is all about, you know, kind of, I mean, it looks really serious, but it is about the ending of things. What I'm seeing is like an ending of cycles. The point of no return. And I definitely feel like this is going to come through in your relationships. What's interesting is that this moon is also making a semi-square to Uranus in the 9th and a semi-square to Saturn in the 6th. So I feel like the Saturn in the 6th energy can kind of be a little bit challenging because the 6th house, with Saturn moving to the 6th house, it can require a lot of work and a lot of effort and not always the accolades and the rewards and the things that we want in return. And you might kind of feel like that in relationships. Like you might have felt in the past that you were giving a lot in relationships and not always getting what you want in return. Like when I think of the 6th house, I feel like of this cavern where you dump something and it's just like, it will endlessly eat whatever you're dumping into it. It's just, you're not going to get it back and you will never fill it up, kind of thing. So maybe you might have felt like that in past relationships, like you were giving so much of yourself, and maybe it's time that that ends. And that's kind of what I'm feeling this Tower card is saying. Like, this is a point of no return where you're literally never going to return to that way of being, that way of thinking. And it really is a way of thinking, because this is making a semi-square to Uranus in the ninth, which is about shifting your beliefs, shifting your mind to reflect the life that you want. So if you don't want to keep continuing these relationships, you have to ask yourself, what thoughts, beliefs, patterns, I'm thinking this in the mind. So like mental beliefs, what beliefs are underlying this behavior and where does it come from? Like kind of getting to the root cause of it and ripping it out. And I feel like that is what's going to be happening under the surface for the next, few months. Because the semi-square to Uranus and Saturn, again, is like an underlying energy. I don't think it's what's coming out of this new moon, but I feel like the new moon is giving you a new beginning in relationships, and that's why I pulled the Page of Cups. It's saying this is new love, this is a new start, and that for those of you who are in relationships, it's a new start in the sense that you are now becoming a person that is going to give and take equally, that isn't just going to give, that actually is going to break some of these old beliefs and old patterns that are not making you feel fulfilled in your relationships. And I think that's also why I pulled Mercury in Aquarius. It says originality, but really Mercury in Aquarius is about you getting very analytical and detaching from the emotions of things and looking at it and saying, what is the problem here? And I think that's what the semi-square to Uranus in the ninth is saying. What is the problem here? Like, let's get down to the core root belief that is underlying my behavior. Let's put aside my emotions, because there's always going to be that really romantic, loving part of you that just wants to give. But then you have to kind of use your logical side to say, okay, well, is this someone worth giving to? Am I giving to the right degree? Are they reciprocating? And like getting down to more of the facts, the brass tacks. Is that what people say? Yeah, there's a need to use your analytical mind as well. And it's funny because this is not an analytical new moon, but I feel like with the semi-square to Uranus, it's saying in time, like right now you're going to feel all the idealism of romance and everything beautiful, and it's going to feel so great in your relationships. But then it's saying like in time, it's going to be important for you to really also use your analytical mind to determine if you are possibly going down the path of what you're doing before with this Tower moment of, having these aspects of relationships that aren't serving you, or if you are beginning a new cycle here. So it's going to be important for you to use both your head and your heart to really determine where you need to make adjustments, especially in those core beliefs, like really getting analytical and examining those beliefs that you have about love. You guys also have Saturn in the 6th house making a trine to Mars in the 10th. So remember how I was saying you guys are like, Saturn in the 6th is like working hard, giving a lot, and not really getting the rewards. I am seeing some things come through in terms of your career. So it's not that I'm really getting that you might be working a lot in the past in relationships and not really getting it. But I am seeing that you guys might start getting stuff in terms of your career, because Mars moving to the 10th house can energize you and make you feel like you got this in your career. So I don't know if you're getting necessarily all the accolades, but you're definitely going to have the energy to continue to do what you're doing and pursue what you're pursuing. I think you're going to feel really passionate in your career. You're going to have maybe like that hard work paying off a little bit, at least in terms of fueling your own fire. I don't know if that's going to come out in accolades or not. We'll see. I also pulled the Scorpio and Crocodile card. So first of all, the Scorpio card, I feel like this is you being a little bit more ruthless in relationships. Like, it's funny because this new moon is not ruthless at all. It's like a very loving and compassionate energy. And I feel like you have so much of that naturally that you might have to use your analytical mind to be like a little bit more ruthless. Like, okay, is this how I should behave in this moment? Like, I know I want to give this person this thing, but do they deserve it? Are they going to take care of it? That type of thing. Like, and I also getting down to the root cause of things. I think that that's what this Scorpio energy is saying. Like, you're not just acting out of emotion, you're really understanding your inner dialogue, your inner motivations behind why you're doing something. And then this crocodile, to me, I mean, the crocodile is really cool because it spends time on the land and the water. So I feel like this is, again, you stepping into like the loving and watery, intuitive, emotional energy of Neptune, Venus, and this moon in your 7th, but then also grounding yourself on land and saying, okay, let's also be realistic about this. Let's also be practical about this. We don't want to repeat past patterns. So it's like having you go in between both of those and really embody both of those. So yeah, I'm definitely seeing some shifts happening in terms of your relationships. And I definitely think it's going to feel really positive, especially with the Page of Cups. And just like this energy in your relationships is just beautiful. But I do feel like there needs to be some shifts in order for it to feel beautiful in the long term. So I hope that this resonates. If so, please give me a like and comment down below. And as always, if you want to purchase a reading from willowsboom.com, you can do so. Have a great day. Bye. All right, up next we have Libra Rising. So for you guys, this new moon in Pisces with Venus and Neptune is happening in your 6th house. And I'm also going to be pulling some cards for you guys as well so that you feel like, or that I get a clearer message. Wow. Okay, guys. So whenever I think of the 6th house, I mean, I'm really drawn to this being around health, although it does not have to be around health. And kind of like a glow up. I don't know if you guys have been putting more energy into your health, into your looks, and like internal power. Yeah. I'm definitely getting like strong. I mean, I literally pulled the Power card and I pulled the Empress card. So you guys are definitely like, whatever you're doing is definitely cultivating your internal power. I just want to look up what this card means and then I'll kind of go into the explanation of everything. So this card says assurance. All right, so let's see what that says. I haven't done it for the other groups, but I definitely feel called to do that for you guys. So the appearance of the Celtic earth goddess Danu, who gave birth to magic, portends the fulfillment of your desires and the fruition of your dreams, you guys. Whatever it is that you're inquiring about, Danu gives her assurance that you're in the process of becoming. Now is the time to trust that whatever you've planted, planned, and worked toward is being lovingly birthed. All you need to do is stay with the flow of events and be ready for your next opportunity. Everything has its perfect season. Just as fallow ground carries the promise of new life that appears again in the spring, as if magically bidden from the invisible to the visible, Danu offers her promise of grounded assurance. All right, you guys. Okay, so besides health, the 6th house has a lot to do with our work. And it can be kind of like this karmic work where we are destined or supposed to put in a lot of effort, likely because of past life things. So this is giving you guys a really positive energy flow into that area where past efforts may actually start to pay off. And that's what I'm seeing with this assurance card, is that if you guys have been putting energy into your health, I see that paying off. If you guys have been putting energy into your career, I see that paying off. This is saying that you're on the right track. You might not see the actual accumulation of everything right now, but you're going to feel good inside and you're going to feel like I am on the path. I think this moon is giving you assurance that the work you're putting in isn't just going nowhere. Especially because I pulled the Empress card, you guys. I feel like the work that you've been doing is a lot on yourself. The Empress is about stepping into her power. She is a masterful manifester. She believes in herself. She's confident. She knows exactly what she is going after in life, and she makes it happen, and she doesn't waste time with things that are dragging her down. And because this moon is making a semi-square to Uranus in the 8th house, I feel like that's basically saying what's happening over these next few months is you're going to be slowly letting things go, letting these fears go, letting these insecurities go about who you are, what you're capable of. You're going to be letting those things go and step into your power. Yeah, this moon in Scorpio, again, I'm seeing this power for you guys. Like, you are becoming more and more powerful. That's really what I'm getting. And I think it's not by accident. You guys are working really hard on yourselves. You're working hard on your body, you're working hard at work, and leaving some of these, again, insecurities behind. And it's also making a semi-square to Saturn in the 5th house. So I think that this is an energy of building, of creating something. And again, it's going to take time. But with this positive energy in the 6th, it's basically saying that all the things that you are working on and putting energy into, I do see coming full circle for you. So that looks super positive. I also want to pull the definition of the eagle card here. I want to read that for you guys, because whenever I think of the eagle, I do think of someone really powerful, having a very clear vision in their life, going after their goals. But I just want to see if there is any more information coming from that card that is going to enlighten this reading. All-pervading power. Well, you guys, what's going on? Truth seeker transforms karma. You guys, that's what the Uranus in the 8th house is. And that's even what I mentioned about the 6th house. It's like the karma, you guys, is coming full circle. It's transforming the old karma. It's leaving behind these old patterns and stepping into your power in the present moment. Okay. The noble eagle emanates the light of the sun. This great bird is both physically and spiritually strong and represents mastery over the elements of fire and air. Fire is our passion, it's our drive, and air is our intellect. So you are starting to master those. You're starting to put those under your own domain. When the eagle appears, you'll soon be thrown into the karmic fire for the sake of transformation. The eagle pushes us to be our best and brightest selves and stops at nothing to see us shine. Grasp the sun in your talons and hold on for the ride. You are stronger than you think. Yeah, so I feel like you guys are being presented with opportunities with this, with Saturn in the 5th house. It's like you're building something. You're building something that's going to take years, because Saturn will move to the 5th house for years. And you're going to ultimately come out as this empress. But you have to kind of move through this transformative energy of the eagle, where it's basically saying you have to let go a lot of these older things that are holding you back. You have to be thrown into the karmic fire. Again, the 6th house is kind of like that karma being played out. So you are playing out karma now, but ultimately it's going to make you very strong, very resilient, and build out this empress energy. And this is probably what this assurance card is saying, is that don't worry, whatever you're building towards is going to come to fruition. But it's almost like you have to move through these karmic or harder situations to become the empress, to step into your power. So you're being challenged now. I mean, not that I say that this moon is going to be a challenge, but I do think the 6th house is generally more karmic, a little bit oftentimes where it requires more effort, more work, more challenge. But that's putting the pressure on the diamond to make it a diamond, right? Or whatever a diamond is before. Is it coal? It's putting pressure on the coal to become a diamond. And this is saying, rest assured, your effort will pay off. But there is, like, you are moving through the karmic fire to become this strong, powerful empress. So this feels like a very hopeful message, to hold on to hope. And Saturn, as I said, Saturn in the 5th is you slowly building something. And it's trining Mars in the 9th in Gemini. So this is basically saying it's time to fully believe that you can do this. And that, I think this card, I think I even had this message last time for Libra. But this assurance card is coming out again saying you guys need to believe that this is possible and that you are in the process of doing it. So it's believing in yourself, believing in your own internal power, that you're able to move through any of these challenges and build this thing and make whatever you are working towards happen. So that's what I'm seeing for you guys, Libra Risings. If you enjoy this, please like and comment below. And as always, if you want to purchase an astrology reading from me, you can do that at willowsboom.com. Have a great day. Bye. All right, up next we have Scorpio Rising. So for you guys, this new moon in Pisces with Venus and Neptune is happening in your fifth house of romance. Also of creativity, doesn't have to be romance, but that is very beautiful. I'm excited to pull some cards for this as well. But ultimately, I feel like, oh my God. Okay, not the cards I wanted to pull. That's fine. That's fine. I mean, it's very positive to have this in the fifth house. So whatever that ends up being for you guys, you know, it ends up being. Spider, interesting. So, okay. So what I'm seeing for you guys, I do feel like I feel like there is really positive energy happening in the fifth house, which is about either like a new romantic venture, a new hobby, or something that you're like a creation that you want to build. Basically, the fifth house is like the place that we go to enjoy the pleasures of life, and having all these super positive, romantic, pleasure-filled planets and energies move through there is giving you like a thumbs up and saying you're going to feel probably really good. But then it's interesting because I did pull some cards that I feel like represent for you an internal struggle. And that makes sense because Mars just moved into Gemini in your 8th house. Okay. Mars is a very warlike energy, and the 8th house is our vulnerability, our insecurity, like our beliefs about ourselves and what we can achieve. And Mars moving through there, this like warlike energy is kind of causing this internal war happening. I mean, that's what I'm seeing with both of these cards. The Seven of Swords, the Five of Wands. I mean, I'm just seeing these people fighting. And I think you're fighting yourself. I actually don't think that you have anything to worry about. I think this is super positive, but I think that you're weaving your own web with the spider here. You're weaving your own web of insecurity or destruction. Like you're getting yourself caught, but it's in your thoughts. Like the web is your thoughts, and you're like the fly that can get stuck there, but you're the spider, so you can weave it in whichever way you want to weave it. So you're creating your life is basically what I'm saying. So you can either weave the web of insecurity, of self-doubt, and have this internal war and dialogue with yourself, or you can weave a web and create something extremely beautiful for yourself. Because I do see that this is very, very positive energy. And you guys have this idea, this relationship, this creativity, this hobby, whatever it is, even child. This has a lot of potential. You guys are sitting on like a basket of golden eggs, but you're sitting on them, so you might not actually realize what it lies underneath you. So it's time to get out of your own way with this energy and weave what you want to weave, and realize like how much of a magician you are in your own life, or how much of a spider you are in your own life. Like you create your reality. So I think that is really the strongest thing that's coming through. Like this is super supportive. Whatever is trying to come to life with this Pisces new moon, you're getting that go ahead. You're getting that pat on the back. You're feeling good about it. But then at the same time, you also might be struggling with some internal dialogue that isn't actually supportive. It's also possible that there are other people that don't believe you or support you as much, but I feel like most of this is coming from yourself because Mars is in Gemini in the 8th house. This new moon is also making a semi-square to Uranus in the 7th and a semi-square to Saturn in the 4th. So I've been talking about this as background energies I see playing out over the following few months. So semi-square to Uranus in the 7th I see is really being some changes that need to be made in terms of relationship dynamics. And this could literally mean calling in support and different people in to make this dream come to life. But really what I'm seeing is the relationship dynamic. So actually how you show up to the relationship. So that could have something to do with your internal dialogue. But yeah, there needs to, like the way that you're showing up to the relationship needs to change. So how you perceive yourself, how you perceive the other person, how you react to the person, the way that you communicate. There is something about that dynamic that needs to adjust over time. And this could be with many people. This could be with one person. There is something that will adjust over time in order to bring this creation to life, basically. It's also making a semi-square to Saturn in the fourth. So I definitely think that there's, the word that's coming to mind is like a sense of security. I feel like this is challenging your sense of security. And it's like you're going to have to step outside your comfort zone. Saturn in the fourth is about building a strong foundation and building something that we can hold on to. I'm thinking of like the Four of Pentacles, something that we can hold on to for dear life, for that structure, for that support. And this moon is making a semi-square to it. So I feel like it's saying that we can't just like hold on to the sense of stability and security. We have to kind of like let it go or find that in a different way or adjust that, because that's actually what's going to hold us back. It's almost like we have to build that sense of security within ourselves. And I am looking at this moon in Leo appreciation card. Leo can be very focused on themselves. And moon is like our emotional energy, where we're investing our emotions and our time into. And so I feel like and this is a 5 card. So I feel like this is saying there needs to be a change in order to put that like sense of security into yourself instead of into maybe things around you or people around you or your home or like your finances. There needs to be more of an attachment to you're tethering that security to yourself so that you can create this and weave this and live up to a really high potential here. And Saturn is making a trine to Mars and Gemini in the 8th house. So I feel like this adjustment to your sense of security is going to help you stop that war within. So once you become stabilized in your own inner security, that war within is going to kind of quiet down. And you're going to be able to proceed and live up to your potential. And weave that life and realize that you have total control over your sense of security because you are weaving it, and the spider has the silk or whatever its web is made out of. It has that within itself. So your sense of security is literally within yourself. You are literally the creator of your life. And the more that you realize that and attach yourself to yourself, if that makes sense, the more comfortable you're going to be going outside of that comfort zone and, reaching your potential by challenging yourself to create something new and different and better. So that's what I'm seeing for you guys. I hope that resonates. If so, give me a thumbs up. Please comment down below. And if you would like to purchase a reading from willowswomb.com, you can always do so. I love giving you guys astrology readings. I hope you have a great day. Bye. All right, up next we have Sagittarius Rising. So for you guys, this new moon in Pisces is happening in your 4th house of home and family, along with Venus, along with Neptune. So you guys are going to get some positive flowing love energy into your household at this time. Aww. And I pulled the Lover's card. So maybe you're feeling like you're really in love with your partner if you have one, or you're really in love with yourself, or you're just enjoying the life that you've created for yourself at home. Maybe, and humor, you guys. Some really beautiful cards. Humor card. So maybe you guys have kids, or you have a dog, fur baby, and you're just really soaking up this union of all of you guys together. Turtle card. Yeah, so I like to pull cards along with the astrology because it just gives me so much more insight. Venus in Cancer, birth. Interesting. So I don't know if some of you guys are literally giving birth, but that's a cool card. Okay. Before I get into this, I did want to pull the book on this card, the turtle card, and just see what it says, because that is the only thing that I feel like I'm lacking a little bit of clarity with. Turtle, ancient soul, grounded, trusting, at home in the self, you guys. I'm literally talking about you guys being at home. It's wonderful to be in the presence of a turtle personality. Like the beaver, the turtle has a strong relationship with the earth and water elements simultaneously. This helps to ground and connect them to the deeper truths of life, no matter where the travels lead them. Turtle energy is behind all great writers and storytellers as they collect life experiences under their shells for later use. The most potent turtle energy helps us close all the other books and begin to tell our own true tale. All right, what's coming out for me is that this Pisces moon is happening in your fourth house of home. And what I love is that the turtle literally has its home on its back. So your sense of home is being rooted further within you and less attached to your external circumstances, which I feel like is really beautiful. At this time, you might also be coming back to yourself or home to yourself in a way that does make you feel more excited about sharing your story. So if that element of, the description rings true from you, then this is confirmation that you're absolutely supposed to share your story. So if you have been wanting to write a book or start a podcast or anything like that, this is saying that this energy is really supported as well. This new moon is also making a semi-square to Uranus in the 6th and a semi-square to Saturn in the 3rd. So I've been talking about these semi-squares as kind of like underlying energies that are going to be playing out over the following months by like little changes. Like visually in my head, I'm just seeing like these little adjustments that are happening over time. With the semi-square to Uranus in the 6th, I'm just thinking, you guys, because the 6th house has a lot to do with like our health and our daily routines. So yeah, there's going to be that element where you might need to make changes to those things over time to fully feel like more at home with yourself. But I'm getting a feeling that it's actually something different for you guys. I'm going to come back to that because I feel like it will come in time. The semi-square to Saturn in the 3rd. This is a lot about changing your mindset. So those I think are going to be some little shifts that are going to happen over time is your mindset around your relationships and like your family connections. Yeah. There is like I feel like for everyone else it's kind of talking about like building something and all of that, but I really am getting the sense that this is more about connection. This is more about other people. This is more about literally your family or your relationships. Like there are going to be I feel like that is really what's the focus for this new moon for you guys. And because Mars is moving through your 7th house of relationships, you might be more energized now to put effort into your relationships, to really like focus on them a little bit more. You might be more energized to literally go out and help other people. It's also possible that there could be a little bit more of argumentative energy at this time. But ultimately, that's what the semi-square to Saturn in the 3rd is about. Changing your mindset and your way of communicating to prevent the arguments. So if you are able, so Saturn in the 3rd house is asking you to approach your communication in a more calculated way, to be more thoughtful in your words, maybe a little bit slower to anger, because Mars in the 7th can be an impulsive energy, one that will jump straight to being angry, to expressing anger, to expressing exactly how you feel and being like a little bit cutthroat. So Saturn here is kind of, with this trine to Mars, is kind of trying to temper that and say, well, if we can make changes to the way that we communicate, if we can pause a few seconds, or if we can change our own thoughts so that we're more understanding, then the arguments will be lessened and will create more harmony. I think that, again, is the focus with this lover energy. Even if it's with yourself, it's a desire for harmony, bringing things together. But I really see this having a lot to do with other people. So I don't think that this is just about yourself. Yes, I think there is a sense of like creating a home within yourself and really relying on yourself in that sense. But I'm getting a very strong feeling that your dynamics with other people are coming in here, and there's a need to create harmony by working on your communication or your mindset around issues. And ultimately, I see you definitely creating that harmony and doing it because of the Lovers card. And I think a great way to do that is honestly by laughing, not taking things too seriously and using humor in your favor to create the happiness in the relationship that you want. And having Venus in Cancer, I don't think is about birth. Venus in Cancer is a very gentle energy. It's very nurturing. It's very emotionally receptive to other people's needs and communicating about other people's needs. So this might be a time where it's asking you to be more like gentle and emotionally receptive in your communication with other people so that people can understand you. They can understand one another. And maybe that's kind of where the semi-square to Uranus and the six is coming in. Because as I was mentioning in a previous one, I think with Virgo rising, the six is a lot to do with karma. So I feel like these are old karmic patterns that need to be slightly shifted over time. This could be something inherited from family since this moon is happening in the fourth house. Maybe you developed your communication habits from your family and it's kind of like spilling out into your relationships. But I do feel like this is kind of past life karma, like things that you've accumulated and ways of being that you've accumulated in many lifetimes. So this semi-square to Uranus is saying to make slight pivots and changes like in your communication and thinking so that you can break old like karmic cycles and not create more karma in relationships as well. This is a very positive new moon. I don't want you guys to feel like this is negative. I know this is coming across as very constructive. That's not really necessarily my intention. I guess what I'm saying is that I'm seeing very harmonious relationships being built, but that comes with effort, and over time that is going to require the focus on communication, the focus on being slow to anger, and that might be something that comes up later on in the month that you'll notice. So I hope that this resonates for you guys. If so, please leave me a like and comment down below. And as always, if you want a reading from me, you can purchase one at willsbloom.com. Thanks, bye. All right, up next we have Capricorn Rising. So for you guys, this new moon in Pisces, along with Venus and Neptune, is happening in your third house of communication, of siblings, of local travel. And it's interesting because that's usually a very like frenetic energy. When I think of the third house, I think of busyness. And what's interesting is that all of this Pisces, Venus, and Neptune energy is like very still, very relaxing. So there's kind of a contradictory energy to it. Just coming about. And I pulled the Hermit card, which she's literally closing her computer and walking away. So there might be actually a need to unplug from social media, to stop communicating, to rest in that area of your life for a second. So kind of allowing this, this Neptunian energy of integration, of rest to spill into the area of life where you're normally very busy. Yeah, I'm getting the sense of unplugging, like unplugging from social media, from the outside world for a second, from other people's opinions, from communicating all the time, just kind of unplugging for a second to do yourself good. And I got Mars and Pisces, escape. Again, escaping, kind of escaping from the everyday humdrum of life. Like that's literally what the third house is kind of like the everyday humdrum, like moving about, doing your errands, blah, 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 blah. The third and the sixth house remind me a lot of that. And so I think you're actually being asked to unplug from that for a second, have a little escape, take some time for yourself, because I think you're ultimately going to be working on something larger that needs you to be energized. Yeah. So I pulled the Spider Woman co-creation card. That's what makes me think that you're building something right now. And really, it doesn't have to be that you're building something, because Spider Woman is just about us weaving the web of our life. And I pulled this, I think, for Leo Rising or Scorpio Rising. But yeah, Spider Woman is us weaving the web of our life, basically creating our life through our thoughts, through our actions. And maybe your mind has been very, very busy lately. Maybe there is a need to change your thinking, to be more compassionate with yourself. And sometimes we have to unplug from social media and from the world around us to show ourselves that compassion, because flipping through Instagram, man, like you can get really hard on yourself, or just taking in, like consuming, can drown out your own internal voice. And there might be a need to escape that so you can reconnect with yourself, so that you are co-creating and weaving a web of your life from a place of strength, stillness, purity, like a place where you feel really good, basically. The reason I say that is because I also pulled the fire ant card, and this definitely makes me believe that there is like inflammation in the mind, from maybe you being too hard on yourself. Capricorns can be kind of hard on themselves. They can be a little bit, they share some similarities with Virgo in the sense that they want things to be done right, and they can kind of be hard on themselves when they're not where they want to be. And so there is that happening here with this fire ant of like, let's just like tune out the expectations for a second and be nicer to yourself. Be more compassionate, more loving to yourself. This moon is also making a semi-square to Uranus in the 5th house and a semi-square to Saturn in the 2nd house. So I definitely feel like there's going to be more changes in terms of like the way that you spend your time. Yeah, that's what I'm getting with like both the 2nd and the 5th houses. The 2nd, I'm thinking the time as in your resources. So like how you spend your resources, money and time, will probably require a little bit more effort and attention over the next few months as you're working towards whatever your goal is. And then with Uranus, with the semi-square and Uranus in the 5th, I am getting like the sense of needing more of like a playful balance to your work where you're not just focusing so much on the end result, but on creating more of an escape for yourself, on unplugging and on doing something that feels like you're doing it just for the pleasure of it. That's really what the 5th house is about. So there might need to be some tweaks in that area where you're not just creating for the purpose of like something, big or like, work oriented. It's creating something also for yourself from the joy and pleasure of your heart, something that is fun, that's easy, that gives you energy essentially. So yeah, I'm feeling like I do feel a similar vibe with Aries. Like there's this need to revitalize yourself. And I think for you, I didn't get the sense that Aries was being hard on themselves. I think they were just working really hard. I'm getting the sense that you guys are being hard on yourself with this fire ant. Like it's easy to be self-critical. It's easy to be concerned about the path and where you are and your progress and like get caught up in that. And I feel like this is saying, let's chill with the mind stuff. Let's unplug. Let's be compassionate. Let's spend time playing. Let's actually fill up our cup, give ourselves joy while still being responsible, still minding our resources, while still using our time wisely, but making sure that part of the way that we use that time wisely is by cutting out time just for ourselves. And Saturn is making a trine to Mars and Gemini in the 6th house. So you're going to already be like ambitious. You're already going to have the energy to work hard towards your goals with Mars in the 6th house. It's not the problem. It's that you might just have to force yourself to also make time for the rest, to make time for giving yourself a pat on the back, that type of thing. And I also feel like the hard work is going to be paying off. It's going to start to give you those financial rewards that you're looking for. If you're a good steward of your resources, you're going to cultivate what you're looking for, right? But yeah, I'm definitely sensing this need to like unplug and be mindful of your mindset because you are creating from that mindset. So you want to know that you're creating something beautiful because your mindset is beautiful, and you can't have a beautiful mindset if you're always going. You have to make sure that you're doing things that just fill you up and light you up. So that's what I'm seeing for you guys. If this resonates, please give me a thumbs up and comment down below. I hope you guys have a great day. And as always, if you want to purchase a reading from willsbloom.com, I would love to see you there. Bye. All right, up next we have Aquarius Rising. So for you guys, this new moon in Pisces along with Venus and Neptune is happening in your 2nd house of finances. All right, so all I'm going to say is you guys just be mindful of your money right now, because whenever Neptune is transiting through the 2nd house, there can be a loosening of the purse strings. Things can slip through a little bit easier, but with Venus there, it is more positive. It's saying that's less likely to happen. However, Venus can go both ways. Venus can give you money, or it can make you very indulgent and have a desire to spend more money. Okay, so I'm also pulling some tarot and oracle cards because it really helps me narrow down the reading and get super intuitive and clear with you guys about what messages need to come through. And I will be talking a little bit about Uranus and Saturn and Mars as well. Ooh, you guys got the Elephant card. You know, I feel like I've never pulled the Elephant card. That feels special, you guys. Jupiter Innovation. Jupiter and Aquarius. Okay. All right. So before I even dive into this, I really want to see what this elephant means. So let me just go ahead and look that up, and I will read to you what that means. It's so funny because, like, when I start off with Aries, I feel like I always feel kind of nervous, like, giving these readings. And then by the time I get to you guys, I'm just chilling. I feel like myself. It's just interesting how that happens, you know? Okay, this is the elephant. And also, my grandma, her favorite animal was elephant. She had these little elephant totems all over. Unstoppable, auspicious, and wise. The elephant is arguably the most auspicious figure in the deck. You guys, no wonder why I haven't pulled it. Like Ganesh, the elephant represents immense wisdom as well as good fortune. It is said that the great elephant is the destroyer of obstacles, so if this card appears when you feel stuck, rest assured the path will soon become clear. To add to the mystery, the elephant is also known to create obstacles in order to steer us in the right direction. Trust this gentle, noble creature. It illuminates the way with the light of self-knowledge. All right, so this is all about obstacles, either creating obstacles to redirect or overcoming existing obstacles. That's very interesting because I also pulled the Hanged One card, which is about seeing things from a different perspective. So if you guys are currently experiencing obstacles, maybe this is a redirection. Or alternatively, if it's not a redirection, if intuitively it feels like this is your path, the Hanged One is basically saying that the obstacles are here to show you how strong you are and how you can move through them. And it's important for you to see things from a different perspective in order to move through them. You can't always just headbutt the obstacle with the same mentality that you went into it with. You have to shift your mind to move around the obstacle to find a solution. And that's really what the Hanged One is saying. So there's either a redirection or a necessity to change your mindset around that obstacle. So you're either changing your mindset around like the direction that you're meant to go in or around how to find a solution for that obstacle. And I definitely see you guys ultimately coming into a sense of clarity with the King of Swords here. I think you're going to be stepping into this really powerful mindset where once you do make that shift, you're going to really be like, wow, I'm in my power. I know exactly where I'm going. I know exactly what I'm doing. And you're stepping into this full elephant energy of just running straight forward towards their goal. I also even see that with Jupiter in Aquarius. It's this energy of being very intellectual. And you guys are Aquarius. So Jupiter is giving you guys this blessings of your energy specifically, because Aquarians are really, really intelligent people. You guys are very innovative. You're very good at coming up with new solutions. So if you're facing obstacles, this is saying you're going to receive blessings to overcome those obstacles. And yeah, I'm really feeling like this is just ultimately bestowing more blessings upon you and upon your mindset. I'm really seeing that coming through in the mindset terms. What's interesting is that this moon in the second house is about finances, but I really feel like it's more about you, your skills, and you stepping into your own. So there can be some obstacles in terms of, inexperience. That's so funny. So maybe you guys feel like you want to pursue something, but you don't have the experience that you need, and maybe that's one of the obstacles. And I feel like this moon is giving you the blessings in terms of developing those skills and of ultimately developing those experiences so that you can step into your power, which will ultimately create the money or the finances that are a result of your skills. This moon is also making a semi-square to Uranus in the 4th and a semi-square to Saturn in the 1st. Oh, of course. You guys have Saturn and Jupiter moving through your first house. Duh. You're also transforming radically who you are. And that's funny because I got Jupiter in Aquarius, which is literally where Jupiter is right now. Okay. Yeah, so I feel like this is bringing my extra attention to that for you guys and basically saying that the effort that you're putting in to make changes to yourself, it's going to feel like it's hard work because Saturn brings hard work, but Jupiter brings blessings. So the hard work will pay off. So in whichever ways you're developing yourself, you're developing your skills, you're developing your character, you might feel like right now you don't have the experience. You might feel like you're just at the beginning, like you don't see how all this is going to come together, but all these cards are saying it's going to come together. And I feel like you guys are developing this fortitude to move through the obstacles, to see things differently, to approach life from a really strong perspective. And the square to Uranus is in the fourth, the semi-square to Uranus in the fourth is saying that over time you're going to make slight adjustments to these like deep-seated beliefs that are coming from your childhood about yourself and about like what's possible for you, about your skills, what you're good at, what you're not. I feel like you guys are going to be stepping into your power a lot more in your mind especially, but it's going to require you to slowly kind of alter and change and leave behind some of those like little things from childhood that might still be pervasive today. Or it could alternatively be slight changes in your household and the way that you set things up in your house in order to help support these changes that you're making to you and to yourself, basically. You guys also have Saturn, which is again in the first, making a trine to Mars and Gemini in the fifth. So these changes that you're making to yourself are ultimately going to help you with this creative endeavor. It's going to help you feel more joyful in your life. And I do see a lot of the fifth house also coming in through skills like our innate intelligence, like some of our innate gifts. Okay, the second house I see as developed skills, and the fifth house I see as innate gifts. So it's like as you're making these harder changes to who you are and your character and your person and developing these skills, you're also going to be unlocking your innate gifts and your deeper potential so that this inexperience turns into experience over time. So this is definitely about putting in the effort, having the right mindset, adapting to these changes that you need to make, overcoming obstacles first in the mind. As Aquarius, you guys are an air sign. You know, you are ruled in the mind. So I think it's going to be important for you guys to really be discerning with your thoughts and how you view yourself and how you view your current circumstances. You might need to change some of those thoughts and focus on developing those skills so that you become more confident, that you feel more experienced, and so that you can overcome some of these obstacles that do come up. So that's kind of a lot of messages in one. I hope that's actually clear for you guys. If so, please leave a like and comment down below. And as always, if you want to purchase a reading from willsboom.com, it's right there for you guys. So I hope you have a great day. Bye. All right, and last but certainly not least, we have Pisces Rising. So for you guys, this new moon in Pisces is happening in your first house along with Venus and Neptune. So this might be a time where you feel like you are very dreamy, and that could also mean that you kind of lack some clarity. That's always possible whenever we're having Neptune move to the first house, but it's been moving through there for quite some time. So it's not anything that you're not used to at this point, right? Wow, you guys, I'm seeing a lot of, okay, I love to pull cards to go along with the messages, and I'm seeing a lot of fortune cards come through, like financial fortune. So that's really exciting. I wonder how that's going to play out for you guys. Okay. All right. So I'm definitely getting some blessings coming in for you guys. I mean, this has been, like, this new moon is going to just give you a lot of potential for achieving things that you've maybe wanted to achieve in your life. Over time, you are going to have to alter your mindset and your communication because of the semi-square to Uranus in the third house. So over time, you are going to have to maybe shift some thought patterns, or even the way that you connect with people online, kind of widening your connection, or the way that you communicate with the people around you. I'm seeing that there is going to be like other people coming in and those people are going to help you ultimately achieve your goals. But I think that the connection with those people, or the way that you communicate with those people or think about those people, that will need to be slightly altered. So yeah, it's kind of like saying like your connections and your resources that come in, those might need to be slightly altered. But I definitely think a lot will have to do with your mindset ultimately. But or the communication, because I also got the Nightingale, which they're singing their truth. So this might actually be around specifically communication with people, whether that's online or in person or whatever. Over time, you're ultimately gonna have to make slight shifts, and that's going to help you reach this goal or make this big change to who you are as a person. Because having a new moon in your first house is a new beginning for who you are as a person. And that a lot has to do with our place in the world as well. So you're going to change on a really cellular, fundamental level. But part of the way that you're going to initiate or actually complete that change is by changing the way that you are speaking your truth and communicating. This moon is also making a semi-square to Saturn in the 12th. This is an energy of leaving the past in the past, leaving things behind. And there's a lot of self-work that comes with Saturn in the 12th. And it might kind of feel more like despair rather than self-work, because a lot of it happens underneath the surface. So it might be a time where you do feel like somewhat challenged in a sense, where you maybe feel like a little bit more isolated, or like you're not seeing all the fruits of your labor all the time. But with this moon, I'm getting the sense that you absolutely are going to see it. But first you have to move through some of those things from the past to step into this new beginning for yourself. So leaving the past in the past so that you can embody this new future. Saturn is also making a trine to Mars and Gemini in the 4th house. So this past might have a little bit to do with home and family. It might have to do with things that you have accumulated from your childhood, or things that are even happening literally in your family. Like there might be some elements of it that need to be let go of. Some arguments, some misunderstandings, some irritations. Interesting that I pulled Jupiter in Capricorn and it says control. So maybe that kind of comes into play too. Maybe there is this sense of control that you have had over your life, or that someone in your family has had over you. I don't know. This might not resonate for all of you guys, but there might be some forgiveness and letting some of that go. Letting some of that control go. Also, I definitely feel like this is self-control as well. Because having all these moons and having this moon and Venus and Neptune in your first house is kind of like surrendering to this natural change that wants to occur. And you have to let go of control to do that. So if you've been feeling any kind of resistance, letting that go, surrendering, which Pisces, you guys are pretty good at surrendering. But even more, what's calling to me with this is that Jupiter is in Capricorn in this card. I'm getting work blessings. It's interesting because I'm getting so much in terms of money. I got King of Pentacles and Fortune for you guys. There's so much in terms of career and money prosperity. And Jupiter in Capricorn is about abundance and prosperity in your career. So you guys, I'm seeing so much in that place. So I'm feeling like this new beginning in yourself is actually really going to pour hardcore into your career and your finances. I'm not really seeing that this is just about you. This is about your influence, your impact, the way that you move out into the world. And you're going to start to receive abundance from that. But again, you're going to have to speak your truth very clearly and leave the past in the past in order to do that. And this, again, might involve family relationships. So I do not know if this is resonating. If it does resonate, please let me know in the comments below and give me a thumbs up. I hope that this was helpful for you guys. This moon looks super positive, and I think that this is going to be this huge, bright new beacon in your life, and it's going to evolve over the next 6 months, and you're just going to become a totally different person. I feel really prosperous, really happy with where you're at. So this looks very, very positive. And if you like this and you want a personal reading, you can always purchase one at willowswomb.com. So I hope you guys have a great day. Bye.